My Big Sister Lives in a Fancy World, The World's Strongest Little Brother, is a comedy fancy light novel written by Tsuyoshi Fujitaka. This is my optimistic review of Volume 1 as translated by J Novel Club. After reading the prologue and getting introduced to Yuichi's power Soul Reader, as well as finding out what kind of comedy this book was going for, I didn't think I would enjoy this book. I went ahead with it anyway, and I made it out to the other side. To almost every category or part of the book I enjoyed, there was also something I didn't enjoy, with the majority of those negativities surrounding the comedic elements. The fancy parts are very much tied to the comedy, so if you're looking for a solid foundation for a fantasy setting, you won't be finding it here. So after several chapters and settling into the setting and plot to come, I was pretty engaged at this point. Yuichi, the main character, was having the same discoveries as the reader and understanding what was going on with his soul reader powers. Despite the book title, at this point you have less interactions with his big sister Mutsuko than I thought, and even an extended portion with his little sister, of which we've never heard of again. You also get briefly introduced to a supposed long-time classmate of Yuichi, who you never hear from again either. These throwaway interactions I assume will come back in later volumes? So this soul reader power which the story surrounds is a fairly interesting one in itself. From the synopsis, this power allows him to see the true nature of people. These words he sees can change over time depending on interactions he has with characters, and certainly could be a good centerpiece for the plot. You slowly find little bits and pieces about Yuichi as the book goes on, and as cool as some of them may seem, some just come out of nowhere and feel awfully convenient in a comedic fashion. If these were a rare occurrence, it would have been fine, but it happens several times so completely loses the comedic effect for me. You just have to sit there and go, alright, so we can do that now. Cool, I guess. So this big sister, Mutsuko, who's the title holder of this series, I really hope you like a know-it-all talkative character. I have this ongoing thing with light novels where the MC has some sort of interaction which they find annoying, and I just feel exactly the same way. And it just keeps being annoying for me, and unfortunately that's what Mutsuko is both to me and Yuichi throughout this book. She has these very long-winded dialogues, and her whole shtick is that she's always right. To me, and maybe it's supposed to, it feels exactly like Haruhi from Melancholy of Haruhi, and if you like Haruhi then you'll like Mutsuko, but for me that's completely the opposite. So we now come to the comedy, which for me, and I stress again for me, was the thing which throughout brought the book down. The comedy is in almost every single scene, and sometimes when you feel like you're going to get through a scene at least somewhat seriously, bam, some sort of attempt at humour has to be thrown in. The only humour I found myself truly enjoying in this was some banter later on between Yuichi and another male character. Regardless of everything else that goes on in the book, the comedy will be what makes or breaks this book for you. From the parts of what I did like, all the action scenes I found super interesting. They are all well detailed and don't spend a whole bunch of time in characters' thought processes and don't end up just in a scrappy brawl either. Unfortunately, the comedy also comes into the fights at this point too, although I feel like it was done well during the fights. In future volumes, more action could take place, although based on the character introductions, I don't think there will be. Unfortunately, the comedy wasn't the only thing that I didn't enjoy in this book, and that is characters in the story just to be completely annoying and completely pointless. There is two characters you come across who don't provide any comic relief and have very bland personalities overall. And once again, if the MC finds something going on that is annoying, what makes you think the reader isn't going to feel the same way? I can appreciate invoking annoyance as a tool in a story, but I feel as though many light novels use this way too much. Overall, this series for me didn't start off well at all. My notes throughout reading were a lot of confusion from the attempted humour, and even though the fight scenes and discovery were some really good moments, they were completely outweighed by constant relenting, chaotic comedy. The formula used for the majority of characters you meet starts out being very bland, and then shortly after they get given some sort of comedic quirk. The premise of the soul reader ability had a load of potential for many other genres, and I personally think that for comedy it just doesn't bring it out at all. Once again, thanks for listening, and until next time.